Hello folks, welcome to el canal del Chano Jose. Today we got a video about how to, or give you an idea how to replace the passenger motor mount on a 2007 to 2017 Toyota Camry. This is for a 4-cylinder. It has four motor mounts, but it has three main ones, which is in the driver's side, lower area, front side, and then the passenger side. There's three main ones and one damper which goes on top of the motor. That's for the vibration or for the torsion. So we replace the other ones. We leave you the links in this video of how to replace the other ones, and on this one we're gonna show you how to replace. The first thing you gotta do to make the job easier, you gotta raise your car, put a jack stand, and take your wheel off, and then you're gonna have to get through the passenger side to change your the motor mount. We have the new one in here. We're gonna be replacing the old one. We're gonna be installing the new one, and we're gonna show you how to do it. But if you remove the wheel, it's gonna make the job easier. So like we said, there's four motor mounts, three main ones, and one damper. And this applies for a 2007 to 2017 Toyota Camry 4-cylinder. And with that said, let's get started. So we were telling you about the four motor mount which goes on the top, which is the damper, that one. That's the damper, and we replace that one. As we show you how to replace that one as well. We're gonna leave you the links. The main ones are located, there's one somewhere down there, the other in the passenger side, and we're gonna show you. There's a passenger side motor mount on this Camry. So we remove the wheel so we can have access to the top nut on the motor mount. As you can see, that cylindrical shape, that's the motor mount. So that's the same motor mount that we have right out here. Okay folks, so we have this motor mount, which is three tie down points on the bottom and one tie down point on the top. And this is the top, and the bottom ones we can't see, but I'm gonna show you. We gotta add WD-40 to this part and the bottom so we can take them off. So this is how it looks outside. So all we can see is just like that, the cylindrical part. So that's how this motor mount is, like this. So we add WD-40 to loosen them up. Okay folks, so as we're looking towards the back of the car on the passenger side, here's a control arm, here's one stud, and then there's this hole here, there's another stud for the motor mount, and then this stud here inside. So there's three tie down points like this, and there's two, so it's looking, there's 1, 2, 3, and those are 17mm nuts. So we use that socket to take them off. So we just add some WD-40 inside there, so it helps you out. So we take them off with a 17mm. So these are the three nuts that go on the stud, so the motor mount goes on the bottom. So once you take them off, they look like they have big washers on them, but they're special nuts. So there's three of them, and there's a 17mm from the bottom. So now we gotta take the top nut of the motor mount, and that's gonna be a 19mm socket or wrench. I already loosened them, so we take it off completely. Okay folks, so now we have taken off that 19mm nut on the top and the 17mm nuts on the bottom, but now we cannot extract our motor mount. So what we have to do is we have to lift the motor up, and to do that we have to remove this damper, and we're going to loosen the front motor mount in the front so we can tilt the motor from the passenger side, so we can lift it at an angle so we can have the clearance to extract the motor mount. And we're going to show you what we mean by that. So we take this one off, and then we loosen up the one in the front, because that's going to wedge, or that's going to pull your motor down, and you're going to be lifting the car instead of lifting just the motor to remove the motor mount. So we take that one off and we loosen this one off, and we'll show you when we're doing that. Okay, folks, so we removed the top motor mount or damper, and that is so we can lift the motor from the passenger side to get the motor mount out and new one in. So then we remove this plastic cover here and the air box that goes here on the front to show you where is the other motor mount on the bottom, which is this is in the front. This is the lower front motor mount that goes in the front. So we're going to remove or loosen that bolt, which is a 17 millimeter, so we can lift the motor in an angle. Otherwise, if you don't loosen that motor mount, you're going to be pulling the car with it, and you're not going to have space to remove the motor mount out. We're going to be using these extensions to reach it and loosen it. Okay, folks, so we have loosened that bolt out about 2 inches or so. Don't take it off completely, just leave it in there. So, but we never took it off from the bottom. We only loosened the top bolt, so that way when we lift the motor, we can tilt it from this side up and we can get the motor mount out. So now we lift the motor up and we'll show you where we're doing it from. Okay, folks, so we took the top motor mount, we loosened the front motor mount. We have the nuts completely taken out from this motor mount that we're replacing on the passenger side. We took the top one and the 3 bottom ones, 17 and a 19 millimeter. So now where you lift the motor is, we have put in 2 pieces of wood, or 1 piece of wood you can put and lift it from the oil pan. You gotta make sure that you don't lift it with just the jack. That's where we're lifting it up. So we found out that that doesn't damage the oil pan. So we're gonna lift it and we'll show you what happens when we lift it from there. So now we start lifting the motor so you can see what happens with that motor mount. So now, as you can see, the motor bracket is this one. It has gone up. So now we have clearance so we can pull it out. So as you can see, we had to remove the top motor mount or the damper, loosen the front motor mount, and now we have this just loose here. So we take it off and we take this stud off so we can put it on the new one if it doesn't come with it. Okay, folks, so now what we have to do is that the new motor mount doesn't come with this stud that goes in the top. So this is where the 19 millimeter nut bolts on. So what you want to do is you want to grab this piece of the motor mount where it looks like this and this area, and then try to grab the stud closer to the motor mount, so you don't want to damage the threads here, because this is where the nut bolts on. So you grab it from here and undo it from the motor mount so we can put it on the new motor mount and put it back in. Okay, folks, so here is the stud that we removed from this motor mount. So this pointy tip goes upwards. So we, as you can see, there's a break in here for the threads end. So all this was inside this motor mount, so we put it into the new motor mount and start putting it back in. Okay, folks, so now we have put the stud from the old motor mount into the new motor mount because it didn't come with it. So now we start guiding it and put it on to it and set it in place. So now that we set the motor mount into the bottom piece, before we start putting the nuts in, we gotta drop the motor a little bit and start guiding it into the stud slowly. So now that we have dropped the motor into the motor mount and this is guided, we put the top nut, the bottom nuts, and then we tighten it. So now we put the 3 nuts. Here's one, another one right here, and another one right here. There's 2 studs that are hiding in the frame. So these are the As you can see, it's barely the shine of the stud in there. So we put them all three, 17 millimeter. So now that we have put in the bolt nuts on, we can tighten them and we will finish on the bottom so we can go up and start putting everything back as it was. So now we tightening down the bolt for the front motor mount that we loosen up. So now we put the top motor mount or the damper on, so we can, and that will be our last step, so we can start putting the wheel on. And well, folks, this is an idea how to replace a motor mount on a 2007-2017 Toyota Camry. The motor mount, you have to take them all, the nuts on the bottom, 17 millimeter off, and the 19 millimeter on the top. Once you remove all that, you remove the top motor mount, loosen the front one, and then you lift the motor from the oil pan. That's what I did with a couple pieces of wood because it won't damage it. But as you're lifting, be careful. Just watch if you compensating the motor or it's pulling the whole car. So if it's pulling the whole car, then you got something that is not loose because the motor is pulling the car. So with that said, it's pretty simple. All you need is just loosen the motor mount completely, take off the nuts, take that top one off, loosen the front one, and then just be safe and be careful. So if you like this video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal El Chano Jose.